Hello and welcome to Legal Talk, a program brought to you by the law firm of O'Donnell, Weiss & Mattei, PC in Pottstown and Phoenixville. Today we bring you a program from Phoenixville, how to prepare for a divorce consultation. My name is David Kaplan, and with me today is Melissa Iacobucci. And Melissa, how do we prepare for a divorce consultation? What do we do? If someone calls in and says, I want to speak with Melissa, and my spouse has filed for divorce, or I can't, I've got to get out of my marriage, and what do we do? How do we respond to that?
Well, I usually ask the client to come in for a meeting, and I ask them to set aside about an hour to talk. I think an hour is a good time to give a client an overview of the process. And I ask them to be prepared to talk about what I call assets and liabilities.
Okay. And I know that initial hour it's actually goes very fast.
It does.
And in fact, it's an education for both sides.
It's absolutely an education, as I don't think that people know very much about divorce law at all before they're going through it, and specifically in Pennsylvania, as all states are different.
Okay. And of course, we don't know about our client. And that is, each client, there are patterns, obviously, but each client has unique experiences, unique assets and liabilities, unique circumstances with children, if there are children involved, and income situation. Every one situation is unique. So they have to educate us first, and then we educate them. And so the goal of that first conference is what?
I would say to prepare them and to answer questions that they have and to manage expectations.
Expectations. That's a big deal, isn't it?
It's a very big deal.
Before we go into the details of what you do at that conference, but let's talk about expectations. Maybe someone comes in to you, the expectations can go real high and real low, I guess.
Yeah, they can. They can absolutely. They can be all the way from someone saying, "Oh, I think I deserve everything," to someone saying, "Oh, I'm going to be left with nothing."
Okay, and so I guess part of our job is for a person who says, I want to get this person and strangle them, you have to say, and I'm going to get everything, you have to kind of bring them down to reality, because that's not quite going to happen. And at the other side, you get people who come in and say, I can't do anything, I'm lost, it's over, and you have to kind of help build them up too.
Right, and no one is lost in a divorce case.
Okay.
That's really important to understand, because going back to what a client will need about assets and liability, because during a consultation I'm trying to understand what's called the marital estate. And that's what everything that you've acquired as a couple from date of marriage, which you know what that is, up until you've separated or decided to get a divorce. You may think, I don't know anything about the marital estate. Perhaps you were the stay-at-home mom or the stay-at-home dad, but I'm here to tell you that doesn't matter, and that in divorce you're going to be able to get that information one way or the other.
So you really need a breakdown.
Yes.
And what kind of assets are we talking about?
So when I ask for assets, I'm asking for a list of retirement accounts, investment accounts, a list of properties. Maybe you have both a marital residence and a shore house, checkings accounts, savings accounts, and even things such as cars, boats, and any personal affects.
Okay. And on the liabilities side, there's obviously the other side.
Sure. So the biggest liability that perhaps or that we come across is a mortgage. Most people don't own their house outright.
Right.
So there's a mortgage. or also perhaps you've gotten some work done on your house, and took out a home equity line of credit. That would also be a liability, as well as credit card debt. Now, with credit card debt and assets and liabilities in general, a client might say to me, "Oh, well, that's not titled in my name." And I'm here to tell you that title does not matter in Pennsylvania, so it's important that we know about all liabilities and assets, whether titled in joint or just individual names.
Now, some people, of course, have businesses, and it could be both sides,
That's a good one,
husband and
too.
wife. And businesses are always a little bit difficult to handle. Sometimes they are larger businesses, they're even incorporated. Sometimes they're partnership or even a sole proprietorship. They're tough, aren't they?
They are tough, and I don't get too deep into a business, the details of evaluation of that in the first consultation.
Yeah.
It's just important that you at least know, that you at least tell me about it.
You have to identify that and maybe begin the approach of, well, especially first, if it's your client who has the business, you have to talk about, okay, you're going to have to reveal certain things. And if it's the other spouse who has the business, then how do we find out?
Right.
And that's a sometimes a difficult project.
It is. And I think what you just said right there is, how do we find out? I always tell my clients there are no secrets in divorce.
Correct.
So if you think you're going to hide some sort of account or asset, it's not possible.
Right.
It's full disclosure.
And we've both had clients
Yes.
who have said somehow we don't have to tell that, do we? And that doesn't work.
That doesn't work, and I tell them you're more than welcome to go ask another attorney but you're going to get the same answer wherever you go.
Yeah, that's the unethical side. No, we don't want to be on that.
No.
At the same time, we're willing to be aggressive and help you with what you do have and what the other person has. Okay. I guess one other thing, just I want to throw in, on our website, we do have a form actually you could fill out, and it has an outline of many of the assets and liabilities you might have in a marriage, as well as information about children and things that you could actually prepare before you come in. And it's right under, if you look at the divorce part of our website at owmlaw.com, that information is there.
And I think it also makes you think about things that maybe you wouldn't typically think about as property. For instance, a life insurance policy.
Right.
It asks you to disclose those. Those things might not come to your mind immediately as something that you have or that would matter.
Well, in a few moments we have left, what kind of information beyond just basic, I have this account, I have this real estate, but what paperwork would you want someone to bring in?
Tax returns are great. A pay stub is also a good thing to have because, for instance, especially if you don't know much, but you found perhaps a spouse's pay stub laying around, I can look at that pay stub and I can tell from the pay stub that, hey, listen, there's a contribution being made to a 401k account. So just by looking at that pay stub, I can tell you that there is a 401k, which is a retirement. But yeah, tax returns are great. And any statements for investment, retirement accounts, recent statements are more helpful.
Yeah. Any paperwork.
Any paperwork.
Paper that relates to those assets and liabilities. Okay. Well, thank you again for watching. Melissa would be happy. Melissa's practice is concentrated in family law. And thank you for watching OWMlaw.com, Legal Talk, brought to you by O'Donnell Weiss Mattei. Thank you.